I'll put some slides in here if you guys want to look at it, which basically shows you based on the source, the switch type, something like a 3750, 3560, 4500 model, what the power at the device is, and then based on the draw, depending on whether you're doing a 4x4 or 3x4. But you can actually determine how the AP is operating from the WLC. So if you actually go into the WLC, go into the wireless tab, click on the AP, click on the advanced tab, it will actually give you the information here about what the draw is. So it's going to be either you got full power, medium power, and based on that, you're either going to have, you might be running 4x4, you might be running a 3x3x3, which what that is, when you say something like 3x3:3, that means 3 transmit, 3 receive, 3 spatial streams. Or you might see something like a 4x4x3. All right, questions? All right, and then the last thing is if you're responsible for switches. So Chris asked, is there a cable rating for PoE? There is. It has the minimum cable rating is
Actually, I was kind of wondering about the cable rating. I mean, if you've got 40 or 50 of these APs and they're being spread out all over the building, and they all go back to a central location, is there a heat rating that's required for the cabling? Because I'm imagining if you're pumping power through the cable, it's going to get warm. So is there like a plenum rating or a riser rating or something of that nature?
My guess is that it is. I just don't know what it is off the top of my head. But there should be a Cisco should have a document that gives you on the PoE what that would be. And here's the thing. The other issue you get into is, I don't know, when it comes to your infrastructure group that deals with switches and stuff, do you guys have you might not want to answer this, but I was going to say, you guys have a lot of new people or a big turnover? And I'll say new people or inexperienced people. And the reason why I say that is because one of the issues that you get into is people that's not purchased this before. There's a power calculator that's out there, and they need to run the power calculator based on the switch and based on the number of power supplies that you need in that switch, because just, what you might end up with is based on the power supply that's in the switch. If you've got a 24-port switch or a 48-port switch, you might only be able to supply full power to half of the ports that are there. And so when you start plugging into all the ports, now the ports don't have enough power to supply for the APs. That was infrastructure. We also have to think about performance. And depending on what your suppliers are doing, performance is subjective, right? So what somebody thinks is good performance, somebody else is going to think is bad. It's based on what they think the reasonable amount of wait time is, or whether or not they're getting good service out of it. If you're doing emails, to get too meaningful with performance unless it gets really, really bad, right? But where you really start seeing performance issues is voice, right? So if we start basically, or either voice, you'll start seeing performance problems and people will notice it because they'll start getting bad, or they'll call, or they got this wrong silence they miss somebody say, or if you guys have very specific applications that are being used, and on the wireless side, maybe it's an application where they're buying something and you're having to put information in or scan something, and you're having to sit there and wait, and the customer's having to wait on you. That could be a performance issue if the customer's having to wait. And performance can be from many things. It can be from one, believe it or not, you can have too much coverage. And if you have too much coverage, that means that basically you got too much overlap with each one, and all of a sudden you get this client that is, we call it basically a ping pong effect. Basically, it is there and it can't make up its mind who it wants to join, so it will join this AP, and then all of a sudden it joins this AP, and then it joins this AP, and then it joins this AP, and ping ponging back and forth. And it's there. And that will cause problems because keep in mind, when you roam, there is a delay. Even if we're roaming to APs on the same WLC, there's about a 10 millisecond roughly delay that's there. So that can cause a problem with performance. Normally we don't see that as much as we see the issue with sticky clients. And this can happen with PCs. It can happen with phones, with your voice over wireless phones. And that is a sticky client. It joins an AP, and it just doesn't want to leave that AP, right? And so it's basically, you start walking away, and its data rate's going to start dropping. And even though it has a better signal, it can have better performance with another AP, it just will not leave that AP. And there are things that you can do, although they're kind of like drastic measures, right? In other words, there are settings that you can set within the WLC, roaming settings, that says, look, if a client gets outside of a certain, say, a client gets outside of a neg 75 or a neg 70 or whatever it might be set at, we're going to tell it to roam. It needs to roam. We're going to tell it to roam. If it doesn't roam within a certain amount of time, we're going to drop it. And so we're just going to completely drop it from that AP and force it to roam to another AP. Now, for somebody that is doing emails or doing, just accessing the internet, that might not be a big deal. If somebody was doing voice, that's a huge deal, right? Or if somebody is making a transaction, that could be a big deal. But the sticky clients is a problem. Client disconnects and does not connect to an AP. Basically, insufficient coverage. If you don't have enough coverage, then clients will start dropping from those APs. And then, of course, interference is a big one, and mismatch in power is a big one. And that's something a lot of people don't think about. But if you think about what happens here, you've got an access point that has an antenna. And that antenna has if you think about it, let me draw this out. So here's my AP, and this AP has an antenna. And then I've got a client. And even though the antenna's embedded, the client's going to have an antenna. And both of these antennas have a power rating, and they both have a coverage that they can pick information up. In other words, it is possible for the AP, that's not, I'm losing my voice here. It's possible for the AP coverage to be something like this, but the client coverage to only be something like this. Now what that means is, that the client can hear the AP, but the AP can't hear the client. That's there. And of course, you have performance issues based on the access point that you're using, right? So if it's a 1600 series access point, then the maximum data rate per radio is 600 meg. We know that's theoretical, right? So what you want to know is the realistic. The realistic is about half that. When you start getting up into 3700s, we can get up greater than 1 gig, or basically half that speed. So the number of clients we can support is also, so you'll notice like on 1600, you can support 256 clients, or on 3700, you can support 400. Here's the thing with Cisco. Cisco will give you supported rates, and then they will tell you that, okay, yeah, access point can support 400, but you should never put 400 on, right? And so best practice is normally for voice, if you go voice calls, to never have more than 12. If you're doing just data type of connections, best practice is to really never have more than about 40 or so clients connected to a single AP. And the reason why is because the more clients I can get to sale, we talk about this airtime barriers where they're having to wait on each other. Now they're having to wait on each other more. The more they have to wait on each other, their performance suffers.
Turn on?
All your UAVs, Cisco has client leaks. And client leak is all and what client leak does is, you guys remember, I don't know in the basic class, but if you remember, client leak is basically beamforming for devices that are not in or AC, right? So if you think about what happens in a normal environment without beamforming, if this is my AP,
do you need extra light?
And then this AP is going to have a coverage area, right? So it's going to have.
You need more light?
No, we're good, thank you.
Coverage area. If you're close to the AP, then you'll have something like 54. Once you start getting out here at the end,
Hey, come on out.
then we might have something like 12. And so the problem with that is that one of the things that we have to think about with performance is that with my data rate, what data rate am I sending at? If I've got a lot of data to send, obviously I can send that data a lot quicker at 54 megabits per second than I can at 12 megabits per second. What we're trying to do today is we're trying to make the spectrum more efficient. And by making it, one of the ways we can make it more efficient is if I can make you send your data faster, that means that other people have access to the media quicker, and so performance improves. So this would be without client link. What client link does is if we have a client that's out here, then let me see if I change colors. And these antennas will actually kind of beamform this signal in a way that instead of it being 12 megabits out there, they might be getting something like 36. Right. So if I by using either beamforming for in and AC clients or using client leak for older clients, if I can increase the signal stream that client is seeing, then I can actually increase the data rate. If I can increase the data rate, that means it can send its data quicker. Therefore, the spectrum becomes more efficient. If it becomes more efficient, then performance basically improves. All right, so AP and client power levels. To kind of give you an idea, there are two ways you can do this. And so the first way would be that you set your power rating of your AP to whatever the power rating of your client is. All right, and so what we mean by that is, if I come over and I've got, there's the DHCP, an AP, and I've got a client here, then they basically have the same rate. That would be the client. That would be the AP. And if you're just looking at coverage, and you're not really worried about dealing with coverage holes, then that's not a problem. So we basically set the client at a rating that is or we set the AP at a rating the same as the client. Where this comes into our issue is, and you guys remember yesterday when I talked about radio resource management, I mentioned there was something called coverage hole detection. All right. Green checks, red X's. Okay, so Chris says red X. Okay, so what coverage hole detection is let's say that I've got an AP, and an AP. And so these APs have some coverage that they're going to have. And so I have a client that's here. And this client is connected to this AP. Well, what radio resource management does is radio resource management can actually look at these APs, and let's say that this AP dies here in a minute. Well, it will actually recognize that, because what's going to happen is this client now is going to start trying to connect to one of these other APs, and the WOC is going to say, boy, you're way out there. I hear you, but you're really, really weak. Which tells me that there's basically a hole there. And so if you set your power ratings right, in other words, I didn't have everything at full power, then what will happen is that these APs actually increase their power to fill in this hole. And so it's kind of like a redundancy, so that even if you lose an AP, the APs around it will fill in and cover in that dead spot. The problem is, if you set your AP rating, your AP power, and to the same thing as your client power at the very beginning, then when the AP has to expand its power, this client, the client's going to hear the AP, but the AP is never going to hear the client, because you basically now expanded your power out to the point to where when your client's out here on the edge, it can't basically, the AP won't hear it. So if you're going to do something like this, what we normally do is we set the AP at half the power of what the client is. That way, the AP can increase its power, and the client can still hear the AP, and the AP can still hear it. So things like that is things that has to be thought about on the design side that can cause problems with you guys, because all of a sudden now they design it with the equal power, right? You have an AP die, and the APs fill in, but the client's not talking. The client's not connecting to anything, even though you know it should. It could be for that reason right there, because you have a mismatch of power. And then, of course, performance is also going to be based on client density and what is the requirement for the application you're using, right? So if I've got 180 users per floor, if I was to try to do coverage, meaning that I got my APs, I'm going to just have them cover as big an area as possible, I could probably get away with 3 APs. Well, that's going to be 60 users per AP. And if the application needs 1 meg and they're all using it at the same time, that would be 60 meg that was needed to run the application for everybody to have good performance, right? And so you can see where all of a sudden now, not only are we not going to have good performance, but most of those clients are probably going to be out here, not be out here on the edge, right here, which is going to be a really low data rate that's out there. Whereas if we take and we start adding, making our cells smaller, so maybe we actually go with 18 access points, that's only 10 users per AP, and we can get the outside edge at 12 meg, now all of a sudden we can start getting better performance. So I don't know how, if you guys have multiple access points, or you need multiple access points, but where this becomes a problem is schools. It becomes a problem because if you've got anybody that is cheap and doesn't want to buy access points, in other words, they just want to buy the minimum amount of access points, you're always going to have performance problems because you're trying to cover the biggest area and you're not worried about the number of clients that's in it. Whereas what you really need to do is think more of capacity and not coverage. Just there. And there are certain minimum sensitivity requirements to read certain data rates, right? So if you guys remember from the first class, we talked about different modulations that are out there. To be able for an AP or to be able to demodulate something, so for example, binary phase shift key, right? We said that in binary phase shift key, we use Barker 11 as the encoding type, and we can actually lose 9 of the 11 bits. Well, for us to be able to demodulate that, if we're using a 20 megahertz wide channel, that signal has to be heard at least a neg 82. If it's outside of a neg 82, we can't even demodulate it. Right, so it has to be a neg 82 or better. As we start getting into like around a neg 79, then we can start going up and using quadrature phase shift key all the way up to, and we start looking at a neg 57 here, we can use the QAM, 356 QAM. And these are all going to vary based on what is going to be the channel size. Am I using 20 megahertz channel size, 40 megahertz channel size, or 80? The larger my channel size is, the more sensitive, or less sensitive, I guess is the way to put it, that the device is going to be, the receiving device is going to be. So while binary phase shift keying might be able to be read or demodulated at a neg 82 on 20 megahertz, if all of a sudden you want to go to 80 megahertz, it has to be a neg 76 or we can't demodulate it. this channel, basically bonding these channels together give us better performance. And that's what's happening when we start talking about going from G to N, and even N to AC. One of the things that's giving us this higher data rate is the fact that I can take two 20 megahertz channels and make a 40 megahertz channel. So when we went from G to N, I was able to go to 40 megahertz. When you go from N to AC, you're able to combine those to 80 megahertz and even a 160 megahertz for wave 2. And the more you bind those together, the more data I can send at one time. Therefore, the more efficient my spectrum gets, quicker I can send my data, my performance goes up, right? The problem with that is that, if you remember, I've only got so many channels in the 5 gigahertz spectrum. Some of them are affected by radar. Some of them we can't use yet. Therefore, as I start binding these together, I'm getting less and less channels. So, for example, in a 160 megahertz channel, I've got like one channel. So it's really not feasible to use today, especially if I got to have more than one AP. Right, so that makes a difference in performance. Airtime fairness makes a difference in performance, right? And we talked about airtime fairness is the fact that the IEEE 802.11 standard has what's known as carrier sense multiple access collision avoidance, meaning that we can't detect collisions, we need to avoid collisions. So because of that, we have these rules that everybody has to follow to talk. And that rule is that if I need to send data, I'm going to grab a number, I'm going to start counting down, and I'm going to listen to the media as I count down. And if somebody talks before I get to 0, the physical header that's in front will tell me how long that device needs the media for it to send its data, wait a sift, and send an acknowledgement back. And then I take that information, add it to the number I'm counting down, and I continue to count down with it. So the more I have to do that, then obviously the more I'm going to slow down and the more my performance is going to suffer. Now, this is one thing that we have to take into consideration, and this is one of the reasons why when you see something like 54 megabits per second, we talk about it's never 54, it's always half of what the number is because of this airtime fairness that's going on and all the beacons and acknowledgments and everything that's having to go back and forth. The other issue we run into is what we call rate shifting boundaries. All right, so what happens on rate shifting boundaries is, let's say that I'm here. So here I am, here's my device, and I'm walking this way, right? So the last information I got from the AP showed me basically with the signal strength and everything that I can transmit at 54 megabits per second. So as I'm walking, let's say my computer walks around this corner, and it sends some data, but it sends it at 54 megabits per second. Well, because I'm getting far enough out, because I'm walking around that corner, my signal strength isn't as strong. And so the AP is not going to be able to demodulate. So what happens? Well, the client waits for an acknowledgement to come back. And acknowledgement doesn't come back. So the client doesn't know why an acknowledgement doesn't come back. All it knows is the AP didn't get it. So it doesn't know maybe if it was a data shift thing or maybe it was a collision that happened. So what it will do is it grabs another number and starts counting down again. Starts counting down, it gets to 0, and this time, since it doesn't know what happened, depending on the driver and the firmware and everything, there's a couple of things that can happen. It could try to send at 54 megabits again. So let's say it tries to send at 54 megabits again. It waits and doesn't get any acknowledgement back. grabs another number, starts counting down. Once it counts down, it then decides to rate shift. So it might rate shift down to 48 megabits. Well, it sends it, and by this time I'm over here at the, maybe at the 24, right?
Oh, crap.
So I send it 48, I don't get any acknowledgement back. Grab another number, count down, downshift to 36. I'll send it again. I don't get acknowledgement back. Finally, I go through that step and I downshift to 24, and I send an acknowledgement out. I send the frame out and I get an acknowledgement back with it. So the purpose of this, to show this, is that even if you are the only person connected to the AP, nobody else is connected to the AP, the fact that we have this rate shift boundaries where you might walk around a wall and the signal strength gets weak can take something that maybe should have took 3.7 microseconds and make it take something like 65 times longer than what it should have taken. And you're the only person connected to the AP. Right? So a lot of times that's a design issue. There's really nothing you can do about it from a troubleshooting standpoint. So, hey, here's the problem we're seeing that's here. Because what really should happen is there should really be an AP here, right? And so as I'm walking away from that AP, I actually roll to this one. And then when I make my corner here, now my data rate's going to be higher because I'm not having to go through that, basically what we call shadowing effect of that wall right there. That was maybe an elevator where our signal strength was a lot weaker.
But this rate shift could happen at any time, even in straight alley, right? Because if you're at the boundary, I don't know if there's any overlap, but if you're at the boundary, it could happen any time.
It can happen at any time if you're going around like a corner or you're going around. You could be going around a metal rack, right? So anything that's going to cause your signal strength to drop, where you thought you could trend at 54 and now all of a sudden you can't. Yeah, so that can happen at any time.
No, I'm not talking about the boundary. Like if you place the new AP, even if I'm over there and there's the only AP, and if I'm walking in a straight alley, if I'm at the 54 boundary and just go to the 48, this could happen any time again, right?
It could. It could. Absolutely. All right. So how do we troubleshoot this? If somebody calls in and says they've got performance issues, what do? Well, the first thing we can do is we can go into Prime, and we can go into the advanced search, and we can type in their username. And when their username pops up, we can actually click on it and go to what's known as the User 360 view. And the User 360 view is going to give us, if I can find my pointer right there, we go. It's going to give us the RSSI value. So that's the first thing we can start looking at is how good is the RSSI value compared to the chart that I gave you guys the other day that the wireless group gave me, that gave you that exceptional marginal poor, right? So does it fall in the exceptional range or does it fall in the poor range? Keep in mind that this value here is probably going to be maybe 5 minutes old, right? Or it might be less than that, depending on what the polling time is and set up on Prime, of how often it goes out and gets information, but it's not going to be real time. Now, you can also go into the client and users monitoring, and when you go to the bottom, you can actually look at a history of that client. So you'll notice that I can see, okay, here is the client's RSSI history, and here is their SNR history. So what's going on with the RSSI value? Are they keeping a pretty consistent RSSI, or at some point something going on that's causing that RSSI to drop and to fall in the poor section of it? get the information off of the WLC. Now, this is going to be more real time, right? So this information is being sent from the AP to the WLC. And what's going to happen is you go into the monitoring page, go into clients. When you click on your clients and scroll down to the bottom, you will actually start seeing RSSI and SNR values. You also start seeing things such as excessive retries. When you start these retries, what's happening there is the AP is trying to send data to it, and it can't because the spectrum is busy, right? So if we start getting a lot of channel utilization that's going on, where the clients, basically we're having to wait to send the data, then you're going to see the excessive retries start going up because I'm having to sit there and wait and wait and wait, whether it be because of interference or noise or because I've got so many clients that's in an area, it's just taking longer for me to send the data. We can do leak test. I showed you guys this yesterday. This gives us our values for RSSI at the AP and RSSI at the client on the test that was just performed. It also gives us our SNRs. And if we've got some very bad RSSI values, there are a couple of things we can do. One, we can go to the prime, and we can look at the heat map. And from inside the heat map, we can cut on and say, okay, show me any rogue APs or show me any interfering devices. And we can see where those rogue APs or interfering devices are compared to where the client is. And then we can also look at what is the affected area, right? So we might find out, okay, there's actually a microwave or something that is close to that user that's causing the problem. So that might be an easy way to determine, okay, what's close that could be causing the problem. The other thing we can do is look at channel utilization within the AP. And this is still in prime, but this is under the device type APs, and it will show you channel utilization based on interference, channel utilization based on noise. And what we're looking at there is we're trying to keep the utilization below, I think for you guys it was below 40, right? Cisco says you need to keep it below 50, but I think on what the chart you guys had said anything greater than 40 was poor. And especially for voice, if you start getting 40 and above on voice, you start having issues.